Most people believe that if you're intelligent, educated, and capable, you should naturally be good with money. But real life keeps proving the opposite. Some of the smartest people you know make the worst financial decisions. They fall into debt, they invest emotionally, they overspend, they avoid saving, and they sabotage their own long-term security in ways that don't make sense on the surface. This isn't because they lack intelligence. It's because money is not managed by logic. It's managed by psychology. The human brain did not evolve to handle abstract systems like interest rates, long-term investments, or invisible digital balances. It evolved to survive, to seek pleasure, to avoid pain, to gain status. And those instincts are powerful enough to override even the highest IQ. Let's start with a simple truth. Your brain is wired for short-term rewards, not long-term wealth. When you buy something you want, your brain releases dopamine. That chemical creates pleasure, excitement, and relief. It feels good. But saving money, investing, or paying off debt does not produce the same immediate reward. There is no emotional payoff right now, so even though your logical brain knows that saving is the smart move, your emotional brain sees spending as more satisfying. Smart people are often very good at thinking about the future in theory, but emotionally, they live in the present just like everyone else. Intelligence does not cancel out emotional impulses. It only gives you better excuses to justify them. This leads to one of the biggest traps: rationalization. Smart people are excellent at explaining why a bad financial decision is actually a good one. They don't just spend money impulsively, they create a story around it. This will make me more productive. I deserve this. This is an investment in myself. I'll make more money later, so it doesn't matter. These stories feel logical, but they are usually emotional decisions in disguise. The brain makes the choice first, then builds a narrative to protect the ego. This is why high earners are often in just as much trouble as low earners. When income increases, lifestyle expands to match it. The smarter someone is, the more complex and convincing their justifications become. Instead of saying, "I want this," they say, "This aligns with my future goals." The spending still comes from emotion, but the language sounds intelligent. Another major reason smart people struggle with money is overconfidence. If you're intelligent, you're used to being right. You trust your judgment. You believe you can figure things out. That confidence is useful in many areas of life, but with money, it can be dangerous. Overconfident people take bigger financial risks. They invest without enough research. They assume they can time the market. They believe they'll know when to get out before things go wrong. They don't prepare for worst-case scenarios because they don't expect to be wrong. This leads to gambling, disguised as investing, chasing trends, buying into hype, ignoring boring but reliable strategies. Smart people often want to feel clever with their money. They want to beat the system instead of following it. But wealth is rarely built by being clever. It's built by being consistent. Another psychological trap is identity. People don't just spend money on things, they spend money on who they believe they are. If you see yourself as successful, you feel pressure to live like a successful person. That means nicer clothes, better cars, higher-end restaurants, and expensive experiences. These purchases are not about the items, they're about maintaining an image. Smart people are especially vulnerable to this because their identity is often tied to achievement. When their external lifestyle doesn't match their internal sense of success, it creates discomfort. Spending money temporarily resolves that discomfort. This is why someone can be financially stressed and still buy luxury items. They are protecting their identity, not their bank account. Another powerful force is emotional avoidance. Money decisions bring up fear, guilt, shame, and anxiety. Looking at debt is uncomfortable. Tracking spending feels exposing. Planning for the future forces you to face uncertainty. So instead of dealing with money, people avoid it. They don't check their accounts. They don't open bills. They don't look at their credit card balances. Avoidance creates short-term relief but long-term damage. Smart people are not immune to this. In fact, they may be even better at avoiding discomfort by distracting themselves with work, thinking, or productivity. They stay busy while their finances quietly fall apart. There's also the problem of mental accounting. The brain treats money differently depending on where it comes from. A salary feels different from a bonus. A tax refund feels different from investment gains. A credit card feels different from cash. This leads people to spend money they would never spend if it came from another source. Found money gets wasted. Future money gets spent before it exists. Debt feels less real than cash. Smart people understand this concept intellectually, but emotionally, they still fall into it. They treat some money as serious and other money as disposable, even when it all comes from the same bank account. Then there is the social comparison trap. Humans constantly measure themselves against others. If people around you are spending more, upgrading their lives, and posting their success online, it creates pressure to keep up. Even if you know it's irrational, the emotional pull is strong. Smart people are especially vulnerable because they often compare themselves to other high-achieving people. This can create a silent competition of lifestyles, not just careers. The result is overspending driven by comparison, not need. Another hidden force is stress. When people feel overwhelmed, money becomes a coping mechanism. Spending provides comfort, distraction, and a sense of control. This is why people shop when they're anxious or depressed. It's not about the product. It's about emotional relief. Smart people experience just as much stress as anyone else, sometimes more. And when stress rises, financial discipline falls. Even people who understand budgeting and investing will make terrible choices when they're emotionally exhausted. There's also the illusion of future self. People believe their future self will be more responsible, more disciplined, and more capable. So they borrow from the future. They spend now and promise to fix it later. But later arrives, and the same emotional patterns are still there. Smart people are great at planning for a better future version of themselves. But they don't account for the fact that their psychology doesn't magically change with time. The final and perhaps most important reason smart people make terrible money decisions is this. Money is deeply emotional. It's tied to safety, power, worth, freedom, love, fear, and survival. When something touches all of those at once, logic becomes secondary. You don't manage money with intelligence. You manage it with awareness. When you understand your emotional triggers, your identity, your fears, and your habits, you gain control. Without that, even the smartest brain will find ways to self-sabotage. The people who win with money are not the smartest. They are the ones who understand themselves. And once you understand your psychology, you stop fighting it and start working with it. That's when your financial life finally changes.